So in what could be a massive day for Iowa basketball?
Iowa fans, buckle up, because what I'm about to tell you could change the entire trajectory of Hawkeye basketball for the next decade. For months, the whispers have been circling, the rumors, the cryptic social media posts, the crystal ball predictions, and now it feels like Iowa is on the verge of pulling off the single biggest recruiting win since Caitlin Clark put on the black and gold. We're talking about McKenna Woliczko, a 5-star phenom, ranked as high as the number 1-6 overall player in the nation.
McKenna Woliczko? There were always the rumors she was going to go to Iowa. There were always the rumors that she was going to go. And it's still not for certain. There's absolutely no guarantee that she's going to be at Iowa. However, it is seemingly very likely. So,
a player who has been tearing up high school and international competition, who dropped 19 points in the U17 World Cup final, who has size, versatility, and the kind of two-way motor that every powerhouse program in America is begging to get.
Crystal ball predictions here. 10 out of 10 lock for somebody who has a 100% accuracy on their predictions. Predicted a 10 out of 10 lock for Iowa. The page on, what is the page? This slim, milky page. I don't know who it is, but they absolutely were leaking half of the stuff in college.
USC wants her, South Carolina wants her, Ohio State wants her, and yet somehow all signs point to Iowa. Assistant coaches dropping black and gold heart emojis, eyeballs flying across X, crystal ball insiders locking in predictions with 100% certainty, and fans, Hawkeye Nation, already daring to dream of the post-Caitlin Clark era.
And posted a thing about Iowa Caitlin Clark, and they are, if she ends up coming, like, she's a top 6 or 7 player in the nation. It says here, sources tell me McKenna Woliczko, college decision expecting the next week. Family's great discussions last weekend and preparations are being made for the announcement. She'll choose between USC, South Carolina, Iowa, and Ohio State.
Looking a whole lot brighter than anyone imagined. But make no mistake, this isn't just about one commitment. This is about Iowa proving that Caitlin Clark wasn't a one-off miracle. This is about sending a message to the entire women's college basketball world. Iowa is a national power, and they're not going anywhere. And if McKenna Woliczko actually commits to Iowa, forget Sweet 16 run. We're talking about the Hawkeyes being built for Final Four.
She was a starter. She played 36 minutes last year in the U17 World Cup final. Like, she had 19 points in the U17 World Cup final. Like, obviously, you have players. And funnily enough, like, UConn, I think, are looking for Addison Bjorn. Who are, like, who kind of plays the same position at that 3-4.
So let's break it all down. Before we dive in, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, and drop your predictions in the comments. Is McKenna really about to shock the world and choose Iowa? To understand just how seismic this commitment would be, you have to rewind and look at the bigger picture. For years, Iowa wasn't exactly known as a recruiting hotbed. Sure, they've developed great talent, legends like Megan Gustafson, and of course Caitlin Clark.
If she comes in, she's gonna come in as realistically as a freshman to a team with Addie Deal. They're still gonna have Ava Heiden still gonna be there. Guyton's gone, but they have, oh, what's her name? Chit Chat, the guard. I think she's still gonna be there. Like, Stremlo was a freshman, wasn't she? Yeah, Taylor Stremlo was a freshman.
But when it came to consistently landing 5-star, top 10 national recruits, Iowa wasn't even in the conversation. That was UConn's lane. That was South Carolina's lane. That was Stanford, Notre Dame, Baylor, programs that seemed to have an endless pipeline of elite players. Then came Caitlin Clark. She changed everything. She didn't just put Iowa on the map. She turned the program into the story in women's basketball. Every arena sold out. TV ratings shattered records. Suddenly, every recruit in America realized, if you ball out at Iowa, the entire country is going to be watching.
And if she comes in, that's their top. Obviously, Addie Deal's their first 5-star since Caitlin Clark, but from having no 5 stars since Caitlin Clark to getting 2 5-stars back-to-back years, and not only a 5-star, a super duper 5-star in the case of McKenna. Like, a starter for Team USA, albeit like it's not necessarily what ranking they are, it's how they play. Like, you took in Hannah Stolke, who was barely a top 50 recruit, and she goes and is playing starter minutes at AmeriCup.
Fast forward to last year, when Lisa Bluder and her staff landed Addie Deal, Iowa's first 5-star recruit since Clark. That move alone signaled that the Hawkeyes weren't fading after their superstar's graduation. They were reloading. Now, McKenna Woliczko steps into the spotlight. She's not just a 5-star. She's a Team USA starter, a 6'2" forward with the kind of versatility that makes coaches drool. Averaging 22 points and 8 rebounds per game as a sophomore, she was on pace for a monster junior season before an ACL injury sidelined her. And here's the kicker. Even with that setback, she's still one of the most coveted players in the entire 2026 class. And what's the chatter around her? She's choosing between South Carolina, USC, Ohio State, and Iowa, programs with national titles and recruiting dynasties in their back pockets. And yet Iowa, fueled by momentum, fan energy, and Clark's lasting impact, is right there at the table. This is where things start to get really interesting. So what exactly makes McKenna Woliczko such a game changer? Let's break it down. At 6 feet 2 inches, she's a classic hybrid forward. She's strong enough to bang in the paint, quick enough to guard wings, and skilled enough to create her own shot in the mid-range. She isn't one of those recruits who just lives off size and athleticism. She has polished footwork, high IQ decision-making, and a defensive motor that screams future pro. When you watch her in international play, the first thing that jumps out is her poise. She's not afraid of the moment. In the U17 World Cup final, she played 36 minutes, basically never came off the floor.
Like, there is no team to get rallied around quite like Iowa. There's no team where you're going to have, if you're in the tournament, Caitlin Clark sitting courtside every single game. Like, that's not going to happen. And I think all in all, this is a team that absolutely has an opportunity to be good again, and maybe not to the level of making national championship finals.
Ohio State is a solid option, but stylistically, their guard-heavy, pressure defense system doesn't quite spotlight versatile forwards the way she deserves. Then you get to Iowa, and this is where it clicks. Iowa's offense thrives on versatility, spacing, ball movement, exploiting mismatches. It's tailor-made for a forward like McKenna. She wouldn't just be another cog in the system. She'd be the piece that elevates everything. Pair her with Addie Deal in the backcourt and Ava Heiden in the frontcourt, and suddenly Iowa has a core that can compete with anyone. In other words, if Caitlin Clark was the spark, McKenna Woliczko could be the foundation. But as exciting as that sounds, there's still one big question. How real is this buzz? And is Iowa actually ready to land her over the national Blue Bloods? Here's where things get wild, because on paper, Iowa shouldn't even be in this race. Let's be real. South Carolina and Dawn Staley have built a dynasty. USC has the Los Angeles market, NIL money pouring in, and a media spotlight that few programs can touch. Ohio State has Big Ten resources and a proven track record, and yet Iowa is the program everyone's whispering about. It started with recruiting insiders locking in crystal ball predictions, not just leaning Iowa, but stamping it as a 10 out of 10 lock. That alone sent shockwaves through the women's basketball world. Then came the not-so-subtle hint from Iowa assistant coach Lysandra Barrett, black and gold hearts, and a string of eyeball emojis on X. It wasn't a press release, it wasn't official, but in today's recruiting game, that's basically the equivalent of sounding the alarm. Still, here's the contradiction. McKenna's finalists, South Carolina, USC, Ohio State, they all make sense. They're established. They're proven. Iowa, outside of Caitlin Clark, they've never been known as a consistent 5-star magnet. So the question becomes, is this just smoke or is there fire? There's also the ACL injury cloud hanging over McKenna. She's still a top 10 player despite missing her junior season, but you can bet rival coaches are in her ear. Do you really want to go to Iowa, a program trying to prove it belongs, when you could join a powerhouse like South Carolina and guarantee a Final Four run?
But when you put her in, if you put her into that Iowa system in a couple of years' time with Addie Deal, and that's the thing where I'm like, you've now got kind of an inside partner for your combo guard in Addie Deal, because she can then go and play beside Ava Heiden. Ava Heiden is like, I mean this when I say this, Ava Heiden is going to be huge for them.
First, you've got Addie Deal, the 5-star combo guard who broke Iowa's long drought of top-tier recruits. Deal is dynamic. She can create off the dribble, slash to the basket, and set the tempo offensively. But like every guard, she needs a reliable partner up front. Someone who can finish plays, draw attention, and clean up the glass. Enter McKenna. She's not just a forward, she's a connector. The kind of player who can give Deal more room to operate while also demanding touches of her own. Iowa's system, with its spacing and movement, practically begs for a forward who can score inside, defend multiple positions, and rebound at a high level. Then there's Ava Heiden. If you watched her in the Big Ten tournament, you saw flashes of something special. After spending most of her freshman year quiet, suddenly she's scoring double digits in back-to-back games, knocking down shots, and looking like a future cornerstone. Pairing her with McKenna gives Iowa a front-court combination that could rival anyone in the country. And don't forget the supporting cast. Guards like Taylor Stremlo, Tegan Mullaney, and Lucy Olson provide depth, toughness, and shooting. By the time McKenna arrives, this won't be a one-woman show. It'll be a balanced roster with multiple weapons, the exact type of team that can make deep tournament runs. Now imagine this: Clark, courtside, watching the next wave take over. Addie Deal breaking defenders down.
Like, her in the... If you looked at Ava Heiden, how she played in the championship game, like, or sorry, not championship, in the tournament, she wasn't very good against... I say she was not great against Oklahoma, but like Oklahoma were good, and they had like Reagan Beers, they had players, and also as much as I will be supporting Iowa this year, I'm also begrudgingly a de facto UConn fan, as well as that Texas and mostly.
For women's college basketball as a whole, this is massive. It shows that parity is real, that stars are willing to spread out, and that programs outside the traditional powerhouses can build empires of their own. And let's be real, the sport is better when more programs matter, when Final Fours aren't just predictable scripts, but true battlegrounds. If McKenna goes to Iowa, it's not just about winning games, it's about legacy, about proving that Caitlin Clark wasn't the end of Iowa's story. She was the beginning. So here we are. The decision is looming, the rumors are deafening, and the stakes, they couldn't be higher. For Iowa, this isn't just about landing a 5-star. It's about proving that Caitlin Clark wasn't lightning in a bottle. It's about proving that Iowa can keep building, that they can stand toe-to-toe with South Carolina, UConn, USC, Ohio State, and win. Because if McKenna Woliczko puts on the black and gold, the message is clear. Iowa isn't just a feel-good underdog story. They're a legitimate national powerhouse. They can recruit with the best, they can develop with the best, and they can play on the biggest stage with the best. And let's not understate this. McKenna isn't just another recruit. She's a program changer, a player who already has international experience, who's already proven she can deliver under pressure, and who would walk into Iowa City as one of the most talented athletes ever to commit there. Pair her with Addie Deal, pair her with Ava Heiden, surround her with shooters and depth. That's not just a tournament team, that's a Final Four blueprint. That's a roster that can carry the Hawkeyes into the national spotlight long after Caitlin Clark's name is etched into history. Or are the whispers just smoke, waiting to be blown away by a powerhouse like South Carolina? We're about to find out. Hawkeye Nation, if you believe McKenna Woliczko is about to choose Iowa, drop a fire emoji in the comments right now. Smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're new, and buckle up, because the next era of Iowa basketball might be closer than you think. The Clark era built the brand. The Woliczko era could build the dynasty.